There's a lot of build-up to everything going on tonight. It is the great debate, part one, which we'll see tonight. I have posited to our audience for the last couple of weeks that we have may have set the bar so low for Joe Biden. Can he even show up? Can he even stand up for an hour and a half? Can he even take a pounding from Donald Trump? That I think standing up for the hour and a half and not having a stroke on stage may be the biggest win they can get. And join us right now and give you some analysis on that and all the other great things going on in our economy. Stephen Moore joins us. Mr. Moore, in the commercial break here, you said you were a little nervous about tonight. I am too, because I think we have set the bar too low.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about that. You know, all he has to do is basically show up, and the New York Times and the Washington Post will declare him the winner of the debate. But look, Trump has to stress, his incredible accomplishments. This is a president who's had an incredibly influential and successful first term in office, especially with respect to the economy, but a lot of foreign policy victories as well. And, he has to ask the American people for a second term based on what he has delivered so far. And so I think if he does that and stresses, lowest poverty rate ever, lowest unemployment rate ever, the highest income gains ever, all of these incredible accomplishments, I think the American people are going to say, well, I may not like everything about Donald Trump, but I sure like what he's achieved. And that I think is his primary goal tonight.
All the noise the left makes, if you ask me, it feels like to me that the last thing they want to hear Donald Trump reminding people of is all the great advances he made with minorities. The minority home ownership was up, minority new businesses were up, minority unemployment was down at its lowest point in history. So many great advances, even with the communities that to me have been decimated by Democratic rule for years. You think I think the populace realizes it, and I think he's going to get a big turnout from minority voters.
I agree. Donald Trump's problem is not with minorities. I think he's going to do better than any Republican in 30 years with minorities, and maybe even, in 40, 50 years. His polling is much better with black voters. He's looking at, getting maybe 40 to 45% of the Hispanic vote, which would be fantastic for a Republican. So his problem is with rich elite whites who don't like Trump. Trump, it's funny. We have some construction going on our house, and so there's about 8 or 10, Hispanic and black and blue collar workers who are working on our house, and they see me and they come up to me and they whisper to me, I like Donald Trump, and those are Trump voters, those blue collar voters. So it's kind of fun to see how he has really gone after the traditional Democrat votes. I mean, Trump is really the candidate of the middle class.
I agree with you. And, oddly enough, in New York, we're on like eternal lockdown here, right? But my son plays on a travel baseball team. And over the weekend, we were out in New Jersey because they're free to play baseball in New Jersey, just over the state line. And I proudly wear my Trump hat over there to the games, and you don't know what you'll encounter in New Jersey because it's kind of a moderate state, But what you said is right on point. I had people kind of look at me with the hat on and then not say anything, and then like a few minutes later, like meander over to me and say, hey, give me the thumbs up. I like that hat. You know what I mean? So it's like when you see all these polls saying Trump's losing, Trump's losing, Trump's losing, in one-on-one personal contact, people are afraid to say they like Trump at a kid's baseball game.
No, I think that's right. There's clearly the hidden Trump voters out there, and that's why I don't believe these polls for a minute. I think the other thing Trump has to do is not attack Biden, his person, but just attack his ideas. I mean, I just finished a report looking at his economic program. I mean, my God, I don't think any Democrat in 50 years, any candidate of a major party in 50 years has had anything this radical. I mean, it's massive tax increases. It's massive increases in regulation. He said, I want to destroy the oil and gas and coal industries in America. He wants to reverse Trump's trade deals, which have been, quite effective. And I think he has to attack the ideas, not the man, because look, this isn't about electing. If you elect Biden, you're not electing Biden. You're electing the left. You're electing AOC. You're electing, Bernie Sanders. You're electing the hoodlums in the streets and the union bosses. And that's, I think, a point that Trump has to make because this is not your father's or your grandfather's Democratic Party any longer.
Yeah, it's not your grandfather's Joe Biden anymore either. He was kind of like a moderate guy for years, or at least he pretended to be a moderate guy. You brought up something great there that I want to zero in on, unions. And I'm seeing like gangsterism from the teachers' unions all across the country, but this AB 5 out in California, which aims to eliminate independent contractors that make up, I think there's 60 million independent contractors in the country. Prop 22 is on the ballot in November to try to overturn that. But Joe Biden, in his economic plan, has said that he supports AB 5 to eliminate independent contractors, right?
But you're exactly right about that. And by the way, that's a really important initiative for not just California, for the country. But think of all the hundreds of thousands of people who've been employed in this gig economy. The people who are the Lyft drivers and the drivers for Uber, and it's a great way for them to make extra bucks and make a living. And now you're going to destroy that industry. But the other point I want to make, which is related to what you're just saying, it's much worse than you even said. Most people don't realize this, but in Joe Biden's economic program, he basically wants to get rid of right to work laws in the states. Did you know that? Most people don't know that.
I did not know that.
Yes. So you were talking about 15 to 20 million Americans that could be forced to join unions against their will. If people want to join a union, I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. But I have a big problem with the government forcing you to join a union to be able to get a job. And if you live in a right to work state, you better be very careful and see, this is the thing. People aren't looking at actually what Joe Biden is saying. He's telling us he's not hiding it. He's telling us that he wants to, force people to join unions, which to me is a affront to the First Amendment right of assembly. The right of assembly means you have the right not to,
right.
affiliate. And so that's a big one.
I just had on Michael Saltzman. He's managing director at the Employment Policies Institute.
Yes, I know him.
We were talking about AB 5. And Michael made a great point. A lot of people say, oh, the gig economy, it's only Uber drivers and DoorDash guys and Lyft drivers. That's not it. You got court reporters. You got, magicians that do kids' parties. You got disc jockeys who do weddings. And, you got it's way bigger than Lyft drivers and Uber drivers. And a shift in that policy in a state like California with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris could hand this whole country back to the unions.
I agree with that, and I think that you make a really good point that we're moving more towards a self-employed people. That's what people love about being a Lyft driver. I can set my own hours. I can make these decisions myself. I don't need a union boss telling me taking money out of my paycheck each month. So this is a big issue. Worker freedom is a big one. And you mentioned the teachers' unions. I want to mention one other quick thing. I think the teachers' unions have acted so reprehensibly this year that Americans, even liberals, are saying, wait a minute, these teachers' unions don't care about kids.
They don't.
It's all about, it's all about the union and union dues. And my feeling is, look, if teachers don't want to teach, that's fine. Let's find people who will teach, because what is going on with our schools right now in the country is what I call the greatest episode of national child abuse in the history of this country. We have to get the schools open. If the teachers' unions don't want to do it, there's plenty of people out there who can teach our kids. You know what?
I got to tell you, I got a lot of friends who are teachers, who are principals here in New York. They're threatening to go on strike here in New York. And the thing you don't realize, or many people don't realize, is the teachers actually care about their kids. The teachers want to go back to school and take care of their kids. And the big point a lot of teachers have made to me is said, JT, please say this on your show. Teachers are parents too. So when a teacher's kid can't go to school, then the teacher can't go to work. And now teachers are actually being forced to put their kids in private schools and pay money they don't have so they can go to their job. And the unions, they don't really care about their members. They're just in it for their policy. And it's I think at some point, some of the bigger union members have to revolt against these guys.
Well, JT, there was that famous quote from that union representative last month saying, well, kids, we don't care about kids. They don't pay union dues.
Right.
And that's not at all, right?
That's right. All right. Well, Stephen, thank you so much. I really appreciate your insights on the debate and AB5. We'll keep you posted on that. And if you're nervous, pull yourself a cold one, sit back. It's going to be a good night, I think.
Will do, my friend.
Thank you very much. Stephen Moore, one of the foremost economists in our country, former Trump economic advisor, part of the COVID-19 economic task force, and one of my favorites because his insights are part of the reason we got a great tax cut and our economy is raging. So we'll have him back as many times as he'll come back. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back after this and wrap it up with a terrific Tuesday liquid lunch as we get ready for tonight's primetime Great Debate Special right here on Biz TV.